bank that you may be speaking of, the Lowcountry Food Bank, is actually one of our collaborative partners in the community. And that is like my warehouse. The Lowcountry Food Bank primarily serves agencies like mine and churches, and we go to them for food in larger quantities that we bring back to Helping Hands and then distribute to families in Berkeley County.
Michelle, are you part of a church? The organization, is it a ministry or anything?
It is a Christian-based organization. We are actually sponsored and supported by about 12 different local churches in the Goose Creek area. We were originally started back in 1989 as a collaborative effort from the Clergy Association. And the Clergy Association back then, right after Hugo, decided they wanted one place that they could send parishioners to. And so they made the decision that they would support ongoing and have ever since '89 in one form or another, whether it's a monetary, whether it's food drives, whether it's volunteerism.
Hurricane Hugo time frame.
Absolutely, right after Hurricane Hugo.
We've talked to a lot of other charities that actually had some starts then or grew a lot then because of all the need.
Yeah, the beginnings
that people had.
It's like Jack Little last week.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I know Jack.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh,
and,
nice.
And
I didn't know it, but he played for the Miami Dolphins. I called him Larry Little once, but that's...
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. But
no, he didn't, but I kept on screwing his name up. I screwed it up once.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, for sure.
But they're actually an agent. They're a little bit bigger than we are. They offer more services in one location than we do, but they do some of the same similar work.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that's basically, when you got you got a family or somebody that's struggling and just literally needs that basic sustenance, you're a place in the Berkeley County area they can go. How do they get a hold of you?
They can go to the website, which is helpinghandsofgoosecreek.org, or they can give us a call at 843-553-7132.
Ask for you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's 5 minutes flies by like lightning.
It sure does.
But we'll get into some more things about it in particular on the next segment.
Okay.
You're listening to Lowcountry Charity Spotlight, presented by the Merchant Cooperative. Well, we're back with Michelle Arredondo, Executive Director of Helping Hands of Goose Creek. Is that Italian or Arredondo?
It's actually Hispanic.
Hispanic. Huh? Right.
Yeah.
I took Spanish in high school. My name was Pancho. Because they didn't have a Spanish name for Christian.
Okay.
Well, at least that's what they told me in 7th grade. What's your Spanish name, Tom?
Tomas.
Tomas?
Tomas. Feliz Navidad. How are you doing? All right. So we've got Michelle here with Helping Hands of Goose Creek, which, Michelle, it's a food bank, and we were just talking a little bit on the break there. You were saying one of the unique things about it, or different things about it, or good things about it, or whatever, is that it's a walk-in. Like, people can literally walk in if they need to.
Absolutely. Monday through Friday. We serve clients from 9 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So it's a short window of service, but it is Monday through Friday. No appointment necessary. You just walk in. You do have to show ID, Social Security information to validate the number of people in the household, and verification of residence, because I am specifically a Berkeley County program.
Oh, okay, so you can't give to anyone outside of Berkeley County?
I can, and it's a case-by-case situation.
Gotcha.
But most of my funding, most of my grants, and everything comes specifically with the understanding that I'm serving Berkeley County.
So, and you guys are over there by the bowling alley in Goose Creek.
We are.
That's right by the
co-op
office.
Merchant Cooperative. Mm-hmm. Our office is sponsored
right back
the show.
there in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Isn't it nice, all the remodeling they've done, and the streets are looking good, right?
They are. They are, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Goose Creek's definitely booming.
You talked about, where do you get your funding, Michelle? I mean, where does the bulk of your money come from? And I always ask, is there government, there grants? Fill us, the listeners, in on that.
One of our largest sources is we're a Trident United Way funded partner, and that is a grant that I write. It's a 3-year grant, and you renew it every 3 years. But they are our largest financial supporter. Everything else that we don't really have any kind of federal funds. We do get some EFSP money, which is Emergency Food and Shelter program, which is kind of a FEMA program.
Okay.
But it is it's monitored and facilitated through Trident United Way also. But that would be really the only close to any kind of federal or government funding that we have. Everything else that we do is either community support. I write a lot of grants. I write a lot of grants to different
So it's
smaller.
mostly charity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you say that the holidays is probably a big time for you guys, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of families in need. We see our highest numbers from, the beginning of November all the way through the holidays.
So we got 5 days before Christmas. Give me a typical rundown on what's going to happen between now and then, and how families can come in and get help.
Well, what they do is they walk in and they show the information that I need. It's just truly as simple as that. And
So they don't have to have like an income basis or anything
there
like
is
that?
an income guideline. We follow the federal poverty level.
Okay.
And so that is what we make those decisions by.
Yeah.
And even if someone is in crisis but exceeds those federal income levels, we still give them food.
Right.
It's
Okay.
just tailored a little more to meet the need, and I have to take into consideration the involvement of the USDA program.
Okay.
I think what most people would maybe want to hear about too, sounds like what you're saying, is that it's not really a lot of bureaucracy though. I think some people, they get to that point where they need some help, and maybe they've experienced going to try to get unemployment or something before, and they go through that nightmare situation of just sitting in that office all day.
Intimidated like a little bit. Hey, I don't want to go there and get embarrassed because I'm going to be turned down.
You're saying that's easier at your place.
Oh, we make it very easy.
Gotcha.
And for all those reasons.
Yeah.
Because having to reach out for help on any level is some of the hardest things to do. And there is embarrassment. There is humility and
Sure.
everything that's involved with that. And we make it a very high priority to not just make folks comfortable, but also try and make it a enlightening experience in that we don't make it so cumbersome with paperwork. Yes, there's obligations we have to meet and requirements that we have to take care of, but it isn't. We just encourage them all the way through.
Sure.
Well, I'd imagine that money always helps, but in any nonprofit, Christian says it really well. I mean, even though it's a nonprofit, you still got bills to pay. You
Absolutely.
still got, that doesn't mean that SC
The landlord wants his rent.
Yeah, the water bill still needs to be paid. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Berkeley
money,
Electric, and and of course they're a nonprofit too.
yeah, right. But I would imagine that food donations are very helpful for you guys.
Yeah, how do we
Absolutely.
donate? I call in, or companies out there. There's a lot of great companies in Goose Creek, and
Well, financial donations are always wonderful.
Okay.
But as I explained to different folks, financial donations have paper trails that must take place. If I need food immediately on the shelves, food donations are the best way for me to do that.
which would you'd prefer food over the money?
Most of the time, yeah, so
Oh,
that
wow.
it can go straight out on the shelves, and I can meet the immediate need of the people coming through.
So if I
What's the
handed you
best?
$100 right now, and there's paperwork that you have
Well,
to do.
I have to do. Of course, there's accountability.
Oh, okay.
I can't just take your $100 and say thank you.
Okay.
I mean, there's
so
accountability.
you could leave and walk into a grocery store and take $100 and turn in a receipt. I don't know. That sounds simple, but
Best case scenario, I could, but again, just as any nonprofit, there's just accountability,
Sure.
and there's always that chance that somebody wouldn't take that $100, and
Right.
not necessarily at my place, but
What do you think the best food is for people to donate? What's the best thing?
well. Every canned good that comes through the door is a blessing. I'll first say that. And the way my food pantry is set up is there's a portion of my warehouse that's actually set up like a little country store.
Okay.
So every client that comes through actually gets a little shopping cart, and they shop and choose a certain amount of food depending on how many's in their family. And so their currency, so to speak, is poundage. So everything for me is about poundage. And they'll go through, they'll shop for a certain amount of poundage of food, and they bring it to the scale. We weigh it, and if they've got too much, they make choices. If they don't have enough, we send them back shopping.
So, family of 3, how many pounds?
They will get 15 pounds of the client choice area. That doesn't include, we do pickups from our local Pizza Hut, so we always have pizza. Pizza's given to them, and it doesn't count into their poundage. Hygiene items, which is precious commodity, does not count into their poundage. We get bread every day, every morning from our local Publix grocery store. That does not count into their poundage. We do retail pickups at our local Bi-Lo and our local Food Lion, where we get a lot of wonderful, wonderful produce and deli bakery items, all of those things every day.
The grocery stores,
right?
right?
It truly is.
They're awesome.
Truly is. Such a blessing. I mean, I have such wonderful retail partnerships.
Let's hear it for those guys, Tom.
And so every day we'll bag up produce that we brought in the day before. And so most days families are going home with 10, 15 pounds of fresh produce in addition to the poundage that they're shopping for. And then in the cart, we also will put whatever is kind of on my roster of USDA items that is in rotation that I'm distributing. And then from the other side of my little pantry, my little kitchenette area, is what we call pre-bagged. And that's where we make sure there's cans of fruits and vegetables and protein and things like that are going home. That's all in addition to what they're out there shopping for.
So you try to make a balance versus,
Absolutely.
Somebody come in that really isn't aware of nutrition.
Can't come get 5 jars of peanut butter.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Well, I have snacks. I have
Big
cookies.
dogs.
I have things like that out there too. And what the balance is that it kind of makes sure that they're not just going home with cookies and snacks and and things like that. They're getting some good substantial food to make meals with.
Well, you must see some real smiles on people's faces, I would imagine. I'm sure you got a lot of tears too.
Yeah.
How often can somebody come?
They can come to me once every 30 days for 6 times out of the calendar year.
Oh, wow.
Again, because reflecting back, our mission is to help individuals strive for self-sufficiency. So part of that is not fostering that dependence. And if they need something in the meantime, after they've been there for six times during a calendar year, that's a case-by-case situation.
Okay.
And
you can break the rules.
Yeah, I can.
Well, there's nothing wrong
I'm
with
the
breaking the
executive
rules
director.
to help people. I mean,
No doubt.
You know how strict. I know how strict you are on rules, Tom. You're an I dotter and a T crosser from the day I met you. But if a hungry family showed up, Michelle, there's no way you guys are great.
Right.
Well, I imagine too that you've probably seen some people through a process like that and, maybe even come back and help you or volunteer.
Absolutely. Some of our volunteers are actually folks that started out coming to us for assistance.
Wow.
One of my volunteer coordinators actually initially came to me for assistance and has worked her way up volunteering and is now sitting on my board.
Oh, wow.
And is one of my volunteer coordinators.
So you guys are looking for volunteer help
What would
too?
a volunteer do, right?
Yeah.
Always looking for volunteers. I have 2 employees. Everything else is done by volunteerism.
Stocking, cleaning.
Stocking, actually.
You deliver?
No, well, we do have a small home delivery program,
Right.
but it is
People that
very
can't get out.
specifically for the Goose Creek area.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's done by volunteerism, and those are volunteers coming through some of the local churches. And so we have 3 routes, small routes, that are real specific to Goose Creek.
What's the
That's
age
great.
group that you see? An average age group of families or elderly or
I see all ages.
A to Z.
A to Z, truly. My senior population is a little bit different because they can come once every 30 days for all 12 of the months because they're in a position where their income's not going to change. Things aren't really changing for them. Yeah. The self-sufficiency element isn't as key as someone else who's going through a crisis and trying to work their way back up or has lost a job or something like that and just trying to get back on their feet. That's
great. That's great. Well, I'd say that's a pretty easy call to action for anyone listening that's or even if you're not in the Berkeley County area, but if you are, if nothing else, drop some food off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Every canned good's a blessing.
Couple extra cans when you're at the grocery store cost you, what, $2-3, that you can drop off. And
now, one of the requirements of the program, I just want to make sure and say, is that everybody's, except for the senior citizens, are required to take a money management class.
Oh, okay.
And that is provided on site. And my local SunTrust branch managers actually provide it and facilitate it, as well as some of the local Rotary Club members, who some of them are bankers, some of them, but it is a requirement of the program to take and it's just a basic financial money management class, helping them, find out about cleaning up their credit or working on a budget.
Or spending money in the right areas.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the poverty level, I mean, how much class do you have to go to when you have only so much money? There's no money to manage.
Well, right? and that is what some of our folks say. I don't have enough to even worry about budgeting.
Or is it going the wrong direction?
But that's where it's so important to make sure that you're budgeting it.
Right.
Is because you don't have very much of it, and the advantage of coming as a client for us is that you can come and get food, freeing up some of the money that has to go somewhere else.
Right.
So it is real important to be able to, just get that information.
Yeah, spend the money in the right places.
Exactly.
Continuous education.
Exactly.
Throw that website out there again.
HelpingHandsOfGooseCreek.org.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that brings us to our next break here. We'll take a little break and come back and finish up the show.
Excellent.
You're listening to Lowcountry Charity Spotlight, presented by the Merchant Cooperative. Days before Christmas.
Yoo-hoo, Merry Christmas.
Michelle, what are you going to, this week, you're going to see so many people coming in there for help.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. The holiday season is our busiest time.
Well, yeah, again, we got Michelle here with the Helping Hands of Goose Creek, which is a Berkeley County food bank.
Yes.
Right. It's right there by the bowling alley in Goose Creek, if you're familiar with that. And what were those hours again?
Monday through Friday, we serve clients from 9 to 11:30 a.m.
But probably it'd still be better if somebody called ahead of time, though, right?
They could.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter to them?
It doesn't. It truly is. It is just truly walk in. Most mornings we have people waiting at the door from about 8:30 on. Mm-hmm. And we open the door. If it's cold outside, we open the door a little early, but open the door at 9, and there's usually a line waiting out front.
Do you have pet food there? No. Okay. Just curious.
We get donations of pet food, but we give that all to the SPCA because they actually have a program that folks can go to and get food for their animals at no cost.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, you in the last segment we talked about, we were just kind of chatting and it went through, but you mentioned a lot of partners there helping you out in the Goose Creek
absolutely
area.
We are so blessed.
Yeah, so blessed. Let's touch on those people again and really give them a little shout out and a thank you too. Let the other people know if you're hearing it and you hear some of these businesses sponsoring. Think about that next time you go shopping.
Absolutely. We have wonderful community partnerships with our local BILO, our local Food Lion, our local Publix.
While you're shopping in there, can you mention your organization and make a donation or is there like a bin to put stuff in?
In BILO, there is actually donation cups at every register.
Oh, cool.
And a big, like a water jug kind of thing at the exit door. So yeah, they definitely support us ongoing with monetary donations like that. The Buy Low Win Dixie program actually offers an annual grant also that I write, so we get about $10,000 a year from them.
That is awesome.
Wow.
That is fabulous.
How did you get into this? I mean, you don't sound like you're from the South, honestly.
I'm not. I'm originally from Illinois.
Oh, a Yankee. Then.
I am a Yankee.
Yeah, me too.
I'm one of those damn Yankees because I'm not going home.
Right.
But,
if anyone's ever, that Yankee Southern thing, if you live up north, that cold weather, I mean, you can leave it there. It's awful. It's so beautiful here.
I have actually been working in the nonprofit area for pretty much all my life. I'm a graduate of the College of Charleston.
Oh, really?
And psychology major, business minor, and started out in counseling, and moved on into property management that had case management involved, and that's where my passion of psychology went with. But that introduced me to the nonprofit area, and from there I've just been in nonprofit all my life, the rest of my life. And so I've been the director of Helping Hands of Goose Creek for over 8 years, and I love it. It is definitely, I think, a calling. I believe the Lord led me there to begin with, and for whatever reason, He's keeping me there.
Well, God bless
for good
you.
reason, because you are a wonderful person, Michelle.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we'll just wrap up today's show with everyone thinking about that, especially coming into the Christmas time, and you're thinking about that big ham waiting for you Christmas morning. There's a lot of families out there that they just don't have that. They're making hard choices of where to put gas in the car to buy some
Absolutely.
food.
Right.
So I think probably the easiest way somebody, if that pulls at your heartstrings and you want to help, is get in contact with them. HelpingHandsOfGooseCreek.org.
HelpingHandsOfGooseCreek.org or 843-553-7132.
Even just a couple cans of food make all the difference in the world.
Can you make a donation on the website?
Our website is kind of under a little construction right now, so we don't have our donate now button working, but we're working on that.
Tom can help you with that if you need help.
We are definitely working on that.
Well, that wraps up our show today, and pretty much wraps up the year.
Absolutely.
Also, too, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Now, there's one more show before the first of the year.
Yep.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
You are, and you know what? Keep up the great work. And now I know how close you are to us. And go down there in Goose Creek.
Absolutely. Come on over.
Get some food. Go over and see Michelle and make a donation.
If nothing else, stop over and take a look at the place and get a quick tour so that you see what we're doing and
I'll make it a
who
point
we're
to do that
serving,
next week. It's right there.
And that way you can tell folks about us.
Thanks again for being our guest, and we wish you the best of luck. And if there's
you.
anything you need from me or Tom, all you got to do is ask.
Okay.
You're listening to Lowcountry Charity Spotlight, presented by the Merchant Cooperative.
Lowcountry Charity Spotlight is presented each week by Merchant Cooperative, a full-service credit card processing company that provides payment processing services to businesses all over the Lowcountry. Please help and support this morning's charity so they can continue their good works. Thank you for listening, and be sure to join us each Saturday morning at 7:30 here at News Radio 94.3 WSC.